Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Prototype. Starting off in a new area because we're actually not going to the safe house this time. We're heading to the lab. But first let's look at some upgrades that we are going to get this time. I've gotten a couple of more upgrades beforehand in the meantime between missions. You can check them out in the events video. Mainly because during the events I picked up some military upgrades, including effectiveness with the tank, assault rifle, artillery strike, which I will show off at some point, and also ground spike. But some new upgrades that we're going to get this time include more throw abilities like charge throw. Charge throw is very self-explanatory. You just hold button to throw, and it will throw farther and harder. And let's go get another area of effect crowd control move, the Knuckle Shockwave. It's a core ability that will give you more abilities down the line, like more Devastators. Again, like the Ground Shatter, I really don't use the Knuckle Shockwave as it is, because it doesn't really have a lot of power like the two Devastators we have now available to us. I won't be getting them now, though. And finally, I decided to just go ahead and get the Hammer Fist power, just so I'm able to show it off and just have it. It's not something I really go to very often, the Hammer Fist, but it certainly has its uses in some situations. And of course, the Ground Spike. The Ground Spike is the claw's heavy attack, and definitely where the effectiveness of the claws come in. Now, you may be wondering why we're getting another tutorial on the power select wheel. That is actually because I think there's another piece of information that was neglected last time. And that is you can have one attack, one defense, and one sensory power active at the same time, which is something that it's good to remind you that you can actually do that. So not only can you have, say for instance, the claws power up, but you can also have the shield up at the same time. And if you also wished, you could also have thermal vision on at the same time. Again, you know my stance on the thermal vision. It's not really that great. So before we get over to Parker's lab, let's just head over and see what the Knuckle Shockwave and some of the other abilities do. I think that's a good representation of what Knuckle Shockwave can do. Ugh. Alright then. Well, now we have a tank ready to go. So, let's take care of it a lot easier this way with the Hammer Fist. The Hammer Fist has a great 4-hit combo base, and if you mix it up with light and heavy attacks, you get a bunch of other stomp and heavy moves. Like I said before, the Hammer Fist is, of course, slow.
HQ, we got the hot target here. You want it?
No, you don't. Thank you, Ground Spike, because the Ground Spike burrows through the ground to the target you're looking for and comes right up underneath them. And the charge throw for good measure. This went a lot smoother than last time showing off abilities, I will say, though. Because now I could just briskly move over to the mission marker and start the mission.
Charlie 19 to all other units.
We know a few things about the outbreak. There are 2 genetic strains at work. I need samples from both types to be able to treat it. First, you're going to have to locate samples from infected water towers, and then collect samples from a full-blown hive. The water towers are prevalent in these areas. Get there, destroy them, and collect the material. Then head uptown and get the material from the hive.
Whatever's happening here, this is only the beginning.
Okay, was Alex talking to us or talking to Karen at that point? I don't really know. Now, really to talk about this mission, I don't really understand its placement or its purpose, really. Other than this mission, I will say, is very minuscule in terms of actually bringing anything in terms of main plot. It's more of just, like, building events to the next climax, and this one is very... It's not really important, mainly because we're heading over to these water towers here. And despite this main mission, water towers are never brought up again.
What is that?
So let's talk about water towers. Some water towers are infected and are turned into incubators in order to create hunters. That's how they're made outside of hives. They actually use the term hatching, like the water towers are eggs, which they pretty much are. So when you get close to a water tower, it will become more rust-colored or more infected, and if you do not destroy it in time, a hunter is born and you have to fight the hunter. So the goal here is that you have to fill up the genetic material meter at the top right.
That's the stuff.
It's pretty simple, really. And now we can see the corpse of the unborn hunter going... I also don't know how these infected got all the way up here. Might as well just take them down by crushing them to death. But anyway, like I was saying, water towers really are just not mentioned after this point in the game. They're just pretty much here just to make sure that you know they exist. And if they weren't marked by the skulls, you would know that they're there by the crows circling around in the air. For some reason, this water tower is also guarded by the military. None of the other ones are actually guarded. They also really don't want to pay attention to you. So let's just birth a hunter and take it down. The military still don't notice me, by the way. Now they do, because I unlocked the shield. So there's two things about this particular portion of the mission. If you fail to destroy a water tower before it erupts and the hunter appears, you actually do not get any genetic material. It's almost like, it's not particularly a failure on your part, but it's more of a punishment for not being fast enough. Because not only do you not get any genetic material and you're no closer to finishing the mission, but then you have to go and fight a hunter. You don't actually have to fight the hunter, but he will trail you forever. This helicopter too, Jesus. Through the smoke. It's kind of another thing about the thermal vision, is I much prefer just kind of going right through the smoke. I like the smoke effects. Flying kicks are usually a great initial start to taking down water towers. Another thing about water towers is that even though the game completely forgets they exist after this mission, it's in your best interest to actually remember that they actually exist, because they are great stockpiles for additional EP. Every single piece of genetic material that you get, or the glowing yellow balls, actually gives you a ton of EP, and you just get more as the game goes on. When you destroy a water tower and collect all its pieces, you can get anywhere between 8,000 and 15,000 evolution points per water tower, so it's a great way in order to get points if you're short on anything.
Almost enough.
Let me know when they're clear. Hit it again. Over.
Alright, so the first part of this mission is now done. Time to get to the next part.
Watch yourself. Coming through. Over.
This involves a return to the hive. Hi, Hunter. Now, last mission we were instructed to destroy a hive. This time...
No time for props, boys. Get on down to the final red zone and clean it up.
This time we have to protect the hive, or at least make sure that the military doesn't destroy the hive, because really this portion of the mission, all you're doing is running around collecting all the glowy balls that spew out of the building, out of the meat building. To put it in layman's terms. This is actually a good way of using the shield power, actually, because you're able to just plow through everything and not just get kind of hung up on things, other than hunters. Now, I'm not paying much attention to the military actually shooting down the hive at this point, because really there's no need to. I find that when you're in an infected zone, and you find that military are firing onto a hive, they are really slow to take down hives. Like, incredibly slow. You can take down hives 5 times faster than military forces can. So there's really no sense of urgency in order to actually do this quickly or take care of the military, because the hunters and other things roaming around on their own time will actually go after the military for you. So that's good. However, I don't like the strike team, so I kind of want to do something about that. Well, what the There's a car, alright. Some wonderful things about this game, just you don't know what to expect from everything else that's going on around you. Quite chaotic. A quick warning that a quarter of the hive's health is now gone. See how long that took? At this point, I would have been able to kill like 2 hives. Now, there is a difference between the glowy balls of the water towers and the glowy balls of the hive. While the water tower glowy balls give you tons of evolution points, hive glowy balls actually give you tons of health. If you are ever in need of health and have destroyed a hive and all the glowy balls go everywhere, if you're like really low on health, usually one glowy ball will take you all the way up back to critical mass state. So it's an incredible health boost for you. You don't get a lot of EP though. Pretty much like if you were just killing a regular military person, that would be the amount that you would be getting out of these glowy balls. Maybe like 25. And just like that, the mission's over. Yeah, this... 2 missions after the really hectic mission, I'm finding that everything has just kind of stopped in terms of pace-wise. We're seeing a lot of things happen, but not in the same kind of urgency and intensity as last time. But, because we collected all of the glowy balls, we got tons of new upgrades to look at, more events. So we will look at that next time. And hopefully things will pick up. See you next time, everyone! Ever wanted fresh baked bread in the morning? Sandwiches? Hot bagels, perhaps? Come to the bake shop. Baking.